and welcome to Oulton Park for the second round of the Dunlop Touring Car Trophy, which includes TCR UK. 23 minutes and 1 lap around this 2.69 mile circuit always provides a lot of drama. And if you didn't see the first race, here's a quick recap with our race commentator, Andy McEwen.
Touring car debutant Henry Neal and TCR UK vice-champion Ollie Taylor shared the front row for race 1. But with too much wheel spin from his Honda, the pole sitter slipped to 4th off the line, behind the Cupras of Taylor and Carl Swift and the rear-wheel drive Audi of Alex Day. The comeback though was quickly underway, as Day came under pressure from Neal, who showed his nose into Lodge. Having to turn in late, Day ran wide on the exit, the Audi took to the curbs, and Neal was back up to 3rd. China's Sonny Wong was running a lonely 5th in his Teamwork Huff Motorsport Golf, while James Turkington and Guy Colclough enjoyed a close battle for 6th place. Meanwhile, Neal's next goal was to wrestle 2nd place from Swift. An opportunity then presented itself when the Cupra drifted wide on the exit to the hairpin, and the former Mini Challenge racer needed no second invitation. Neal though quickly came unstuck. A huge slide through Druids was well held, but it brought Swift right back onto his tail. On the approach to Lodge Corner, Swift darted around in the mirrors, and after some late braking, the Civic got a little loose through the apex. Enough to leave the door ajar, and for Swift to come marching back through to 2nd place. The longer the battle raged, the more Taylor was able to edge clear in the lead. To have any chance of winning the race, Neal knew he needed to find a way back ahead of Swift, and fast. So when the Cupra got an untidy run through the hairpin, Neal grasped his second chance with both hands. The pair ran neck and neck on the exit, but a brave move around the outside put Neal back into P2. Wong continued in 5th, with Turkington 6th, and now having pulled away from Colclough. Having caught up to Taylor in the closing laps, Neal was looking more and more menacing. After one failed attempt to get the lead into Old Hall, he had another go, but contact ensued. Both cars were sent into the barriers, and the Honda tipped onto its side. A replay from Taylor's onboard camera captures a driver's eyes perspective of the moment the race ended for the top 2. Both drivers were unharmed, but Neal was later disqualified for the move. And with the red flags out, it was Carl Swift who inherited the first victory of the year, and his first ever victory in TCR UK.
Now, before we get underway with the race, here are a few thoughts from some of the drivers. Henry, hoping for a win, it was a terrible start.
Oh mate, yeah, I haven't really done any practice starts, and you could tell. So yeah, lost I think about 5 guys went past me at the start, you know. So we anyway managed to get back up to P2, and we were chasing down Ollie, and then going into turn 1, he defended sort of middle of the track. So I stayed high, and then at the last minute I went low, went up his inside, and I think he's just seen me coming at the last minute, so he's tried to cover the inside, but by that time I'm already alongside. So what's happened is his car's hit my left front sort of wheel, and it's just ripped my wheel off. So as I've gone to turn in, my front wheel's hanging off, so I can't turn, and sadly I've taken him with me, but I hope he's all right, you know. I'd never ever want anything like that to happen, and it's a shame for the boys, because they've given me a car, they've given me a race winning car, you know. But by the looks, it's just front bumper, front splitter. Obviously the left front corner's broken from the initial impact, which caused me to go off, so obviously it needs a mirror now. But besides,
you don't use them, do you?
Clearly not.
No, it's a real shame to end it that way, but you gave us a great first race, and fingers crossed the race too.
Yeah, thanks mate, cheers.
I was struggling a little bit on the brakes. I'd locked up a few times. I think that is one area perhaps the touring cars are a little bit stronger than the TCR cars on the brakes. So yeah, came into turn 1, and I don't know if he just had too much speed, misjudged his braking. Hopefully he's all right. Yeah, just a shame, because it could have been a good start to the season and a good race.
Now, is the car going to be okay for the second race? That is always the most important question. Never mind how you are, but is the car okay for the second race?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. I think the car's okay, yeah. We've had a quick look at it. Obviously, the boys are just stripping it down now. It looks to be pretty cosmetic. Bumper, splitter, wing, perhaps. I don't think there's anything sort of damage to mechanical parts. So, all being well, it should be fine for the next race.
So, James, good race 1, 4th finish because of what happened, but race 2, talk us through what's going to happen.
Yeah, we started at the back in race 1, and we got a cracker start. We got 2 cars off the line, and so we'll see what we can do off the start. I think realistically we're down on ultimate speed, on straight line speed this weekend, so we sort of need to stay out of trouble and bring the car home and just keep learning as much as we can and improve our own lap time. So we'll see what happens.
So guys, starting 5th on the grid, what do you think you can do from that position?
Well, we didn't have a very good start in the first race, and that was because I hadn't spun the wheels up and got the temperature correct in the tyres, and so the DSG actually stalled. So I've just had a lesson in how to start the car correctly, and what I need to do now is to light the tyres up on at least 2 occasions getting onto the grid. So hopefully that'll give us a better start, and maybe we can get ahead of the Super Copa going into the first corner.
So, race number 2 at Oulton Park sees race 1 winner Carl Swift on pole position, but now with the maximum success ballast on board. Alex Day is alongside with Sonny Wong and James Turkington on the second row, ahead of Guy Colclough, and then the 2 retirements from race 1, Ollie Taylor and Henry Neal from the back of the grid. 5-second board is displayed then. Round number 2 of the championship about to burst into life here at a sunny Oulton Park. The red lights go out, away we go, and Carl Swift looks for another good start. He's got the rear-wheel drive Audi alongside him of Alex Day though, and it will be Alex that seizes the lead into Old Hall Corner. Not a huge surprise there, rear-wheel drive advantage off the line, but will he be able to hang on? Towards the back of the field, Henry Neal has gained 1 place, but Ollie Taylor is already challenging for 3rd on the run down the avenue. He pulls alongside James Turkington and makes it look quite easy in the end. He dives through as they run down towards Cascades, and he is through into 3rd position already. So Ollie Taylor with the battle-scarred Cupra making good progress. Henry Neal though, although he's gained 1 spot at the expense of Guy Colclough, he is still languishing down the order rather. On board with Alex Day then, the race leader, Carl Swift 2nd, Taylor already going after them in 3rd, and then a gap back to everybody else really. James Turkington is 4th, Sonny Wong 5th, and Henry Neal snapping at his heels out of shell towards the Britain chicane. Real pressure here though for Alex Day, who has been racing this Audi for a couple of seasons now, but this is a really high profile opportunity for him to try and get a race victory in it outright. He's already leading TCT though, the 2 cars directly behind him. They are the 2 cars debating the TCR UK class lead. As we saw in race 1, the 2 classes mingling together nicely, and the drivers are very much targeting outright race victories as a real priority. Over Clay Hill then, underneath the pedestrian bridge, through this beautiful roller coaster section of the circuit, a real driver's favourite. Alex Day certainly enjoying it right now. The Audi tends to go well here as well. This is a circuit that suits rear-wheel drive cars, so he's got every chance of keeping these 2 behind, but he may have to start defending robustly in order to do that. Carl Swift is also having to defend from Ollie Taylor. Remember, Carl's car is 60 kilos heavier now than it was in race 1, and it's starting to show already. He understeers wide out of Lodge Corner, gets on the grass, and this is the opportunity Ollie Taylor was waiting for. He's up the inside towards Old Hall Corner. He's diving through. He's into 2nd place overall, and the lead of the TCR UK class. So, lap number 1 in the books then, but Alex Day now has some real defending to do. Ollie Taylor, who he will say should have won the first race of the season, is right on his tail. Now, whilst that was going on, there was another car grass tracking out of Lodge Corner, and that was Sonny Wong, who has been off from 4th position, and that releases Henry Neal now onto the tail of James Turkington in the Seat in front of him. Neal versus Turkington, we've heard that somewhere before, but I think Henry should be able to make that move stick without too much difficulty. Back to the leaders though. Ollie Taylor then not under any immediate threat from Carl Swift behind, so he can sort of afford to take his time here. He will, though, I'm sure, in the back of his mind, be very much aware of the fact that Henry Neal is also making his own progress up the order, and Ollie would like to try and get a bit of a lead up if he can. He's had a much better exit from Britain's there. He's closing all the time on the Audi. Alex will surely have to defend down to his lops, which he does at the very last second. Ollie Taylor, oh, you could see there he was considering that maybe the inside line could have been a viable option, but that was too risky. There may have been contact, and especially after what happened in the previous race, Ollie does not want to be the one dishing out the contact on this occasion. Couldn't be much closer though to Alex Day. This is proper touring car racing, bumper to bumper at high speed, the fastest part of the circuit there, past the water tower into the bumpy and undulating braking zone at Druids. Ollie is within touching distance of the race lead, but he just can't find a way through yet. Alex Day, the youngster, is doing well here despite his relative lack of racing experience. Not yet putting a foot wrong, and he's holding on to this first position. Taylor 2nd, Swift in 3rd. These 3 quite some way ahead of the rest of them behind. Across the start-finish line again. And Taylor not really getting the sort of run out of Lodge that he'd like, and that may well be because the Audi with its rear-wheel drive traction gets off the tight corners pretty well. Perhaps through the more high-speed sequences, that's where the front-wheel drive cars have the edge. James Turkington and Sonny Wong are as close together as ever, and Guy Colquitt's not that far behind them either, so that could well become a three-way battle before much longer. Carl Swift there, in third place overall, and he's doing a really nice job here, considering the 60 kilos of success ballast that he's carrying after his race 1 victory. He's keeping pace with the leading two, no doubt being helped by the fact that Alex Day is perhaps having to drive a little more defensively than he'd like to try and keep Taylor behind, but actually Swift is catching them on this lap, so really impressed with Carl's pace this weekend. Turkington and Wong, again, together as they turn through the Shell hairpin. It's quite steeply banked right-hander. Carrying quite a lot of speed into the corner as a result of that. Ollie Taylor carrying good speed over the hill here. As for the second lap in succession, he's peeking to the inside into the chicane. Alex is, again, not making any mistakes, and despite the really late braking he's having to do. Oh no, is that a mistake? It is, isn't it? He slides wide through Knickerbrook. That was the curse of the commentator. Here comes Ollie Taylor back alongside, and I think he's going to sweep straight through into the race lead. Now, wheel to wheel over Clay Hill through the left-hand kink, and yeah, into Druids. Taylor goes through. Just a tiny little slide from the rear of the Audi was enough to open the door, and Taylor seized the opportunity. So Taylor into the race lead, and now can he make his escape? We'll find out, I suppose, momentarily. His qualifying times from earlier on today would suggest that he can, but Alex Day well up for the fight here, on board with Ollie Taylor as Day makes that mistake. Just the rear of the car wasn't quite there for him as he turned into Knickerbrook. You go over quite a crest into that right-hander, and that maybe unsettled the back of the car, and Taylor needed no second invitation and swept through into the race lead. Turkington and Wong are almost side by side as Sonny has a go up the inside at Oulton Corner. This is the first time that Sonny has ever raced here at Oulton Park, so he's still trying to figure out not only the best lines around the circuit, but also where the best overtaking opportunities are. Well, Oulton Corner definitely is a good overtaking opportunity, but you need to be a bit more committed on the brakes through there. And James Turkington was able to keep hold of the position for now, but this is, as I suggested might happen, allowing Guy Colquitt to catch them both. Taylor is starting now to escape at the front of the field. Over hilltop he comes, and this now leaves Alex Day to try and fend off Carl Swift for second position. Down the hill, onto the brakes, through the right-hander at Hislops, the left-hander at Hislops, and then this tricky right-hander at Knickerbrook that caught Day out a lap ago. And again, the car doesn't look particularly happy through there, and I think he was maybe a bit more circumspect than he had been on previous laps, so as not to make the same mistake again. These three are getting ever closer together now, so we've got that sort of three-way fight for the lead, and then these three battling towards the tail end of the grid. And somewhere in between the two groups is Henry Neal, still trying to catch the leading trio. So you're on there with a tight line into Hislops. He was thinking about having a go at James Turkington, but that also sort of served as a defensive move as well for Guy Colquitt behind. On board with Carl Swift then as they head down to Lodge Corner, but there, looming ever larger in their mirrors, is the ominous sight of Henry Neal, who is definitely starting to gain on the leading three. Ollie Taylor leading round number 2 of TCR UK in 2019. Alex Day there, second place overall, is leading the Dunlop Touring Car Trophy. Carl Swift hot on his heels, trying to get one step up the outright podium. This is the battle that's going on a little bit further down the order that's been raging all race long between James Turkington in the Seat Leon. Then we've got the Sonny Wong driven TCR VW Golf, and not far behind them the DSG gearboxed Cupra of Guy Colquitt. Sonny Wong charges around the outside and just couldn't get the car stopped, unfortunately. That was an ambitious attempt to find a way around the outside of James Turkington, and it might cost him a place actually, because Guy Colquitt is up the inside at Knickerbrook and goes through. A replay here, you can see how late he was on the brakes. You can see what he was trying there, because the outside at the right-hander gives him the inside line for the left-hander, but you've got to stop for the corner, and unfortunately Sonny didn't. He ran over the grass, bounces his way back on, but loses a position in the process. So the leaders come across the start-finish line, and there in the background you can see Henry Neal, who is starting to inch towards these top three. It's been a magnificent job done by the Team Dynamics squad to get that car back out on the grid for race 2 after the damage done in race 1. It's good to see that he is now closing in on the podium positions. Sonny Wong is trying to find a way back ahead of Guy Colquitt then after that rally crossing moment down at Hislops. Is he close enough to have a go into Old Hall Corner? I think he might be, and the DSG gearboxed Cupra maybe not quite as quick in a straight line with that extra weight as well. So Wong goes through up the inside. Colquitt will think about fighting back, but doesn't want to risk any contact there. He was sure to steer well clear of the rear bumper of the Golf, which does now. assert its authority through Cascades Corner. So Sunny Wong back up a position now, reigning TCR China champion. Great to see some international interest in TCR UK this year, and Sunny Wong will be, we hope, around for much of the rest of the season. Henry Neal then, in the NGTC spec Honda Civic Type R, works his way over hilltop, and he is now almost within striking range of the second place battle between Alex Day and Carl Swift, and as they start to get themselves together, that will only help Henry to continue to close that gap. On board with Swift now in third position, the race one winner. A rather fortunate victory, it must be said, but he had to be close enough to those leading two to take advantage when they did come together. Guy Colclough then now dropping away from Sunny Wong. Having lost that position, he seems to have lost a bit of pace as well. Guy still learning this car. He's been racing it for a year or two, but not this sort of level. I'm sure he'll get quicker the more miles that he gets under his belt. Sunny Wong, though, does appear to have made quick learning progress of this Oulton Park circuit. He is going much quicker now than he has done at any point this weekend, and is back on the tail of James Turkington. For third place, it is nose to tail as well, because Carl Swift now does have the attentions of Henry Neal, who looks to the outside at Old Hall Corner. He's not trying to go right round the outside, instead he tries to cut back to the late apex, carries much more speed off the corner, and for third position, Henry Neal is going to try and go through. He's on the outside for Cascades though, and Carl Swift will try and brake as late as he dares. There's almost contact and Swift goes off. Carl Swift outbrakes himself and skitters through the gravel trap. He'll bounce his way back on, but the race one winner is not likely to repeat that result anymore. He falls out of the podium places and loses quite a lot of track position as well. On board with Carl, there goes Henry Neal, and there's that big bump in the road there, and I think actually he was trying to avoid hitting Henry and maybe just released off the brake slightly and sort of ran a bit wide. And once you get a wheel on the grass there, there's no coming back. No damage done though, so Carl will rejoin, and still ahead of these two. James Turkington and Sunny Wong were some way down the road, so Swift is still fourth, and this is the battle for fifth position, which is joined once again. Sunny Wong very briefly earlier on in the race got his nose ahead of James Turkington, but that was when he was on his way to the grass down at Hislops. He may well try that move again, but just needs to brake a little bit earlier. Is he close enough to try it, I wonder, on this occasion? Over the hill they go. The Seat Leon Eurocup spec car of James Turkington, which has again its own strengths and weaknesses. James himself, though, a pretty handy racer and knows when to defend and how to defend, which he does successfully there through Hislops. Through Knickerbrook, they are still in the same order. So what more progress can Henry Neal make then? We saw after the bad start that he made in race one, he had some overtaking to do. Even more overtaking to be done in this race, plus the car may not be operating at 100% speed here, because he had that big hit in the barriers, and the team, and in fact Henry himself, have worked right the way throughout the afternoon to get the car back in working order. May well be that there's a bit more speed to be found if it was back at 100% working order. He's catching Alex Day though, who runs a bit wide there through Island Bend, and I think he's on the grass. Alex Day with a big moment at one of the fastest corners on the circuit, and darts back across the circuit into the gravel trap. That was a scary moment there for Alex Day, and probably for Henry Neal, who was following behind him. Alex, though, thankfully did not make contact with anything, I don't think. He's beaked in the gravel trap, he's out of the race, but that could have been a lot worse. On board with Alex, then he turns through Ireland, misses the apex, gets on the marbles, and then the grass, and eventually the gravel trap come up to meet you very quickly. And look at that, Henry Neal was very close to T-boning the Audi as it came back across the road. And how on earth did he pit in that gap between the barriers? That was remarkable. The boot pops open, but that is the worst damage that's done, I think. Despite that very high speed off, he's got away with it okay, but he is out of the race, and that's a real shame. That hands second position now to Henry Neal, and significantly the lead of the Dunlop Touring Car Trophy. Alex Day was looking good for a class victory until that moment, but Henry has now inherited the class lead. What can he do now about the overall race lead? There's a bit of daylight between himself and the race leader Ollie Taylor though, so this may take him a few laps to catch his sparring partner from the first race. Carl Swift has now moved back onto the podium, of course, with that moment for Alex Day. He's in third position now. The Endurance Financial liveried car works its way out of Lodge Corner. Alex trots through the gravel trap. He'll be grateful, I think, that he didn't make contact with anything solid after that moment. That will certainly have caught his attention, though. This is the battle now then for fourth position between James Turkington and Sunny Wong. Everyone jumps up a position after Alex Day's indiscretion. Through the dip, over the crest at Deardleap, and there Guy Colclough, who continues to drop away from those two, but has kept out of trouble today. And that really was the main priority as they try and tinker with that car and get quicker and quicker every time they hit the track. Ollie Taylor then leads the way. Henry Neal trying to close as much as he can, and he is at the moment lapping a bit quicker than the race leader. But we are now on the final lap of the race, so I don't think he's quite going to have enough time. Ollie Taylor is now only 2 corners away from redemption in his eyes. He will feel that he should have won race 1, or at the very least finished second. Here he is now into Lodge Corner for the last time of asking. Henry Neal continues to close. He's going to be less than 2 seconds back at the flag. Ollie Taylor in the Maximum Motorsport prepared Cupra TCR is going to take the victory in round number 2 of TCR UK, and he wins the race outright as well. Flashes the headlights. He's very, very happy with that. And Henry Neal, I don't think, will be too dissatisfied with second place either, and a class victory. Further back, Sonny Wong is having one last go at going around the outside of James Turkington, and unfortunately it's a repeat result down at his lops. He skates across the grass. Ollie Taylor, though, with a magnificent drive there, a battle-scarred car, but he did a victory in race number 2 at Oulton Park by 1.5 seconds in the end over Henry Neal's second. Carl Swift is back on the podium ahead of James Turkington and Sonny Wong. Guy Cogcliffe unfortunately retired towards the end, and we saw Alex Day's spectacular demise at the Shell hairpin.
That was a good race. I knew it was always going to be quite fun. Got a great start. Yeah, up to third, I think, going into Cascades. Got rid of a few of the guys, and then yeah, focused on Carl and Alex ahead. So yeah, it's good, very good.
It went a bit better than the first one, didn't it? So yeah, it's just a credit to the Dynamics boys. You know, we got the car out with about 2 minutes to spare. You know, they were just flat out proper touring car re-prep. You know, it's front end, left corner, and they did it, and it's credit to them. I wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for them. So I'm glad to have a smile on my face, you know, because after the first race I was just, you know, down in the dumps, but more from the boys' perspective. But yeah, to do this for them and bring something out for them, just yeah, happy days.
Carl, have you got your lucky underpants on today?
I think I have today. I mean, lock up, go through gravel, and then luckily someone else puts it in the gravel. I mean, I had a good race with Alex as well, to be honest with you, all the way through, and pace was identical. I mean, that car matches a TCR car to a T. I think I've just had a lucky day. I mean, last year I really worked for that one podium. It's been a bit of luck today.
Well, that's it for us here at Oulton Park for the first ever race meeting in the Touring Car Trophy. Ollie Taylor securing his 3rd ever TCR UK race win, but he was pushed all the way by Henry Neal. We'll see you next time.